please go to Finnegans Wake Notes.net for a full explanation of the text, and please don't forget to hit the like button.
Welcome to the summary of Chapter 1 of Finnegans Wake by James Joyce. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment to support us. Also, please visit finneganswakenotes.net for more details on the text.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are embarking on, well, probably the most ambitious, maybe frustrating, but definitely rewarding deep dive we've ever attempted. Decoding the very first chapter of James Joyce's magnificent final work, Finnegans Wake.
It's quite the undertaking, isn't it? But yeah, an essential journey. Chapter 1.1 isn't really a typical beginning. It's more like a cosmic overture, you could say.
Right.
It immediately lays down the whole cyclical nature of the book, introduces the main guy, HCE, and this primal transgression that gets everything moving. History, language, the lot.
So our mission today, if you're joining us, is basically to follow this winding path of the river Liffey, try to figure out who on earth HCE is, and understand how this one single fall, and it's a fall in every sense, physical, moral, economic, how that can generate this entire universe of language and history. We're really treating this text like a layered map, not just a story to summarize.
That's the only way to approach it, really.
Definitely. So we have to begin, weirdly, at the end, or rather with the beginning that is the end, that famous opening bit, Riverrun, past Eve and Adams, from swerve of shore to bend of bay, brings us by a Commodious Vicus of Recirculation back to Howth Castle and environs.
And the structure itself just tells you so much right from the start. The fact that it begins mid-sentence, Riverrun, and you only find the end of that sentence way, way at the end of the entire book.
Yeah.
It's Joyce basically shouting, time isn't straight here, folks. It's a loop, constantly moving, constantly returning.
And it grounds us immediately in Dublin. The Riverrun, that's the Liffey, flowing through the city right past Adam and Eve's church, out into Dublin Bay and looping us right back to Howth Head, which is significantly where HCE is meant to be, well, buried or sleeping.
And the landscape immediately becomes philosophy. That phrase, Commodious Vicus of Recirculation, that's the absolute key. The Vicus. It points straight to Giambattista Vico.
The 18th century Italian philosopher, his big theory about history moving in cycles, the ricorso.
Exactly. Vico's cycles are the blueprint for the Wake. You've got the Age of Gods, think theocracy, primal fear, thunder.
Right, the thunder we'll get to.
Then the Age of Heroes, aristocracy, violence, big epic deeds, and finally, the Age of Men, democracy, reason, but also decay and, chaos.
And when that Age of Men falls apart, the cycle just resets. Wham, back to the beginning.
Precisely. And Joyce uses vicus, the Latin for street or path, suggesting this cycle is a comfortable or commodious route back. We're recirculating, yes, but we're always coming back to this central figure, HCE.
Howth Castle and environs. But he's more than just a place, obviously. He's Humphrey Chimpan Earwigger, this kind of universal man, right?
A universal man, but one who's immediately stained. He's linked right there in the opening lines to Sir Tristram, Violet de Mores.
Violet de Mores, violator of love. Or maybe player of love songs. It's ambiguous, but leans towards transgression, doesn't it? Why link the sleeping giant to someone known for breaking vows, maybe even violence?
It's about the lineage of sin, or transgression.
Yeah.
The actual historical barons of Howth traced their family back to Armoricus Tristram, a Norman invader. He took the land by force.
Oh, okay.
So by calling HCE a violer, Joyce is suggesting the whole foundation of Dublin, and HCE himself rests on some original act of violence, conquest, or maybe sexual wrongdoing. It's baked in, hereditary.
So HCE is this massive figure, part landscape, part ancestor, Viking, Norman, but the text instantly pulls him down into the muck of, 19th century Irish politics.
That's the genius of the Wake's layering. 1 minute you're in medieval romance, the next you're knee-deep in political scandals and biblical references all jumbled together. We see Isaac, Abraham's son, mentioned almost in the same breath as Isaac Butt, the Irish politician from the 19th century.
And there's that political dig there, right? But what's the guy Parnell replaced in the Irish nationalist movement? And Parnell's supporter is apparently called Butthead.
Exactly. So Joyce layers this really serious, weighty biblical reference onto a, frankly, childish political insult. It's about power struggles, usurpation.
And the women come in right away, too. The sozecessors, Susanna, Esther, Ruth, biblical heroines, often in tricky situations with older men.
But they're immediately cross-referenced with Jonathan Swift, the Dublin satirist.
Stella and Vanessa. His relationships with those two younger women, both named Esther, famously complex.
Which instantly frames the female relationships in the Wake as Ambiguous, maybe manipulative, definitely full of conflict. And that leads straight to that line, all's fair in Venecy.
Combining all's fair in love and war with Swift's Vanessa.
Yeah. It sets up this psychological landscape. HCE is defined by old violence, political shame, and these really confusing, probably sexual entanglements. The stage is absolutely set for the big event, the fall. Hashtag, tag, IB, the Great Fall, and the Thunderword.
The fall, right. This is the big inciting incident, and it sounds like this massive composite disaster. The text talks about the fall of a once Wall Street old par. That phrase alone is packed.
It's pure linguistic compression. Wall Street, you immediately think of the Wall Street crash, 1929, even though Joyce wrote this bit earlier. It embeds HCE's failure in economic collapse, hubris.
But then old par, that's different.
That connects to Thomas Parr. An English guy supposedly lived past 150, but his main claim to fame, or infamy, was being accused of fathering a child when he was over 100 years old.
So the fall isn't just like tripping on the sidewalk. It's economic ruin, it's moral incontinence, maybe impotence or the opposite, and just the failure of getting old. HCE is collapsing under his own weight, physical and moral.
And it's immediately linked to that archetype, the falling workman.
Humpty Dumpty, the PFJ shoot of Finnegan, using the French word shoot for fall. It's epic and kind of pathetic all at once, like a nursery rhyme tragedy.
And this fallen hero, he doesn't just disappear, he becomes the land itself. He's this sleeping giant, maybe like Osiris, dismembered and scattered.
Right, the geography again. His head is Howth Head overlooking the bay, but his feet are sticking up in Phoenix Park.
And the text even links him back to Neanderthal man. HCE is the primal ancestor, the universal human, whose crime is maybe the original sin of all humanity.
He's called Brontalone, the thundering one, sleeping by the sedge of the troutling stream. Monumental, yet somehow vulnerable, right under Dublin's feet.
Exactly. Lying there beneath the social and political life of the city.
And this whole messy, primal, sin-soaked event is marked by, well, probably the most famous bit of the whole chapter, the 100-letter Thunderword.
Ah, the Thunderword. That sound. Pronounces it roughly. Perco tusgrunbar gruayago gogrele Gremit herthrum alathuner delivi fatilibumu mulunakunan. It's just noise, fragmentation, linguistic chaos, but it's absolutely critical.
Okay, so we mentioned it exists, but what does it do? What's the function of this huge noise bomb?
Well, think back to Vico. This is the event of his Age of Gods. Vico thought the first humans, these giants living alone, were scared stiff by Jove's thunder.
Okay.
That fear shocked them into hiding in caves, forming the first societies, the first families. It sparked the beginnings of language, religion. So the thunder's the catalyst for civilization itself.
But it's also the marker of the original sin, the thing that broke everything apart.
Exactly. It's both creation and destruction. And look at the word itself. It's packed with bits of the word thunder, or related ideas from tons of different languages. Lithuanian, Portuguese, Irish, Swedish. It's all in there.
So it's a universal noise.
Universal noise that shatters unity, but also draws the line between wild nature and the beginnings of human order. It's the big bang of sound that creates the world of the wake, and it contrasts so sharply with the sort of quiet, almost pathetic fall of Finnegan himself. Hashtag tag today, the wake and the monument. Pages 005.05008.36.
Okay, so after that primal fall and the thunderclap, the story shifts, right? It moves to the actual wake of Tim Finnegan, the guy from the song who fell off the ladder. This feels like our first look at how society reacts to HCE's fall, and it sounds like, well, a mess.
Oh, it's chaotic, drunken, contradictory, and we get another identity for HCE here, Wasily Buzlo of Riesengeborg.
Right, break that down. Wasily.
Vasily Buzlaev, a famous Russian folk hero, a warrior, but often shown as a drunkard, a rogue. Joyce mixes that with Riesengebirge, German for giant mountains, maybe even a pun on the German word for whore, Hur.
So he's heroic, but flawed right from the start, and his heraldry, his coat of arms, sounds just as mixed up. Green for Ireland or youth with handmaidens, but also horrid horn.
Horned, suggesting he's a cuckold. His heroism is immediately undercut by whispers of domestic failure or betrayal.
And that shifting identity is key, isn't it? There's that running joke at the wake.
Yeah. Mr. Finn, you're going to be Mr. Finn again. Mr. Fun, you're going to be fine again. Fall, try to get up, get punished socially. The fine, the shame. It's a cycle within the cycle.
And the wake itself, the funeral feast, it's not exactly solemn. It's described as a shoutmost joviality.
Full of plums and grooms and sheriffs and citherers. Basically, a massive booze-fueled Irish party teetering on the edge of chaos.
And there's a weird, almost cannibalistic vibe. Finnegan is the meal.
Seems like it. He's the fin fo from the fush, playing on the giant fee-fi-fo-foam, but also fish. Served up with Kennedy bread and Danu Udunnel's ale, the hero is literally consumed by the community that maybe let him fall, or is at least profiting from his demise.
So if the man is eaten, he only exists as a memory, a photograph of a Yestern scene, like a faded photo, smolten in our midst.
The memory fades, yes, but the body, the giant, is still physically present. Bront alone, the Thunderer, is sleeping by the stream, but his feet, his clay feet, are sticking up by the magazine wall in Phoenix Park.
And that's where Maggie comes in. Our Maggie scene all, with her sister and shawl.
Exactly. Maggie, one of the washerwomen, she's the witness. She saw the giant's feet near the magazine wall. It suggests the truth about the fall isn't in official histories, but in gossip, in the observations of ordinary people, maybe marginalized women.
Okay, Maggie's sighting takes us right into the Willingdon Museum Room. This section is something else. It's like this grotesque tour of the Wellington Monument in Phoenix Park.
It is, and it's a museum of war, but war mixed heavily with really aggressive sexual symbolism. Wellington, or Willingdon, is pitted against Napoleon's.
But it's not just Waterloo.
No, it layers in battles across centuries. Waterloo, Fontenoy, Agincourt, Torres Vedras. It implies all war is fundamentally the same repeating pattern of violence. Vico's heroic age, maybe?
And the Wellington Monument itself, the big obelisk in the park, gets described as the Willingdon Memorial Taloscoop Wunderworker. It's pretty blatantly phallic, isn't it?
Oh, completely. It's the symbol of male military power, dominance, aggression, and it's aimed right at the ginnies.
The female figures. Who are they?
Probably the two Isolts from the Tristram story, Isolde of the fair hair and Isolde of the white hands, split into these rival figures. The battle, the conflict is played out across or against the feminine.
And the language here is just dripping with these military sexual double meanings, sex caliber cross power.
Fusing Arthur's sword with, like, engine power.
And get the band up? That's pretty obvious.
Yeah, erection. And the ginnies are cooing her hand and revving her hair. They're seductive, but also distraught, kind of reflecting the contradictory way women are seen in this patriarchal world HCE represents.
Then there's that really disturbing line. Bode Belcham, bonnet to Busby, breaking his secret word with a ball up his ear to the Willingdon. What's going on there? Incest.
That certainly suggests it. The sources point to Bonnet as daughter, Busby as husband, implying some kind of incestuous relationship linked to this dominating male figure, the Willingdon Monument. Military glory built on secret. Family corruption.
It's the dark side of the hero again.
Definitely. And reinforced by that anecdote about Wellington and the courtesan Harriet Wilson. When she threatened to publish her memoirs detailing their affair, he supposedly said, "Dear Jenny, publish and be damned."
Yeah.
Sexual scandal shadowing military fame.
Then it gets even stranger with the story of Buckley shooting the Russian general. That seems like a key moment of shame.
It's huge, and it echoes throughout the book. Buckley, an Irish soldier fighting for the British in the Crimea.
Yeah.
The act itself is this grotesque subversion of war. Originally, the story implied he shot the general while the general was indisposed, using the toilet.
Right.
But Joyce twists it. There are hints the bullet might have gone between his legs, hitting his genitals. It's symbolic castration, profound humiliation. And this small, shameful act by a nobody, Buckley, becomes as significant as Wellington's grand victories.
And the whole section ends with this final amazing insult. The sea boy, Madre Chappers, an Indian soldier, he up jump and pump him and hangs Napoleon's hat, or half of it, up the tail of his big white horse, Wellington's horse.
A supreme, crude, utterly degrading insult. The military hero brought low by a colonized subject. It basically says military glory always dissolves into this kind of vulgar, cyclical, almost childish squabbling. #3, the scriveners, the letter, and the nature of language.
Okay, so HCE, the hero, is scattered. He's the landscape. He's this flawed historical figure. It makes sense then that the history about him is just as fragmented and messy, right? Now we seem to shift focus to language itself and who gets to write history.
Exactly. If the hero is dismembered, then the authority for history is too. The book throws out the idea of a single, reliable narrator or a pure, unadulterated language. Instead, we get things like Earth Spake, maybe nature's voice like Zarathustra and Scribicide.
Scribicide, like killing language through messy scribbling.
Or maybe killing the idea of pure language. It's a death blow to neat narratives. The text itself is called a clay book, a midnight horde of objects.
A midden, like an old rubbish dump.
So history is just garbage. Is Joyce saying truth is impossible, or just that we find it in the trash heap? More the latter, I think. A midden is where archaeologists find the most interesting stuff. This book, this clay book, like ancient tablets, holds everything. Old alphabets, runes, Futhorc, Aleph-Bed, layers of history from Neanderthals to Ragnarok. The truth isn't in the official records, it's buried in the debris.
And this leads to that incredible challenge Joyce sets for the reader, the idea of 70 meanings for every word.
Yes. Every word will be bound over to carry 70 top typical readings, 70. That number is deliberate. It's a direct nod to Islamic tradition, specifically the exegesis of the Quran, where it said every word has 70 different layers of meaning.
Wow. Okay, that's huge. He's basically saying the Wake is like a sacred text in its complexity, but practically, what does that mean for someone reading it? If I hit a word, I shouldn't just look for one meaning.
Exactly. It frees you. Forget finding the right answer. Reading becomes about generating possibilities, holding contradictions. Joyce himself says the paper is made of hides and hints and misses imprints. Language is flawed, made from animal skins, full of errors and hidden clues. The world is constantly writing its own runes forever. Runes and ruins, maybe? Hashtag tag chab Wintanoi 3B. The discovery of ALP's agency. The letter.
So, if language is this chaotic horde, who manages it? Who carries the story? That seems to be ALP, Anna Livia Pluribel. The river, the mother, the wife. She emerges here carrying the letter.
Yeah, ALP is key. She's called a peace fugal, a parody's bird, a peripop mother. Lovely contradictory terms. Her job is basically to be the unacknowledged historian. She's true to wife of her, when strangely forbidden, to steal our historic presence from the past, post-propheticals.
So she smuggles the messy past into the present, even when the patriarchy, HCE, tries to stop her.
That's the idea. And the letter she carries isn't some neat document. It's a collection of stuff from that rubbish heap, the midden. It includes blood-stained breeks, bloody trousers, and the last sigh that come for the heart, Buckleyed. Referencing Buckley again, and the fairest sin the sun saw. It's the physical proof of the crime, the shame, the fall.
And this connects to that amazing story about Parnell, right? Language, error, and accusation.
Yes, the Parnell Commission. Parnell was accused of supporting violence based on letters that turned out to be forged by Richard Pigott.
How was it proven?
Pigott misspelled hesitancy while being questioned. That tiny slip-up, that lacune in language, that crack in the text, was the undeniable proof the letters were fake, and Parnell was exonerated.
That's incredible. So history can turn on a single typo. It's not about grand truths, but the flaws in the language used to tell the story.
Exactly. The misspelling becomes the place where guilt or innocence is decided. It highlights how we try to censor or repress the messy bits, shorten the wrong story. Joyce is pushing us away from fixed truths towards a world of ways, tactics, sounds, feelings, prioritizing the ear, the affect, over just the visual, the representational, hashtag tag 4V, the Prankian in sexual transgression, pages 021.05, 023.29.
Okay, after that intense dive into language and history, the text shifts again, giving us this strange little parable, the Prankian episode. It feels like a fairy tale almost, repeating themes of riddles, seduction, maybe corruption.
It definitely has that ritualistic fairy tale feel. It centers on a new male character, Jarl von Hooter, in his castle, Homry Castle. And Hooter is immediately presented as, well, self-absorbed.
How so?
He's described as laying cold hands on himself and shaking warm hands with himself. It's pretty strong imagery for masturbation, self-pleasuring, isolation. He's locked in his own world.
Not ready for visitors then. And the visitor is the Prankian, the tricky woman. She comes 3 times.
3 times, yes. Each visit 40 years apart. That magic number suggesting a long, maybe biblical span of time. 40 years walk into Rond.
And each time she asks a riddle. Something like, Mark the Twy, why do I am a look-alike to toss off porter peas?
Yeah, the riddle itself sounds absurd. Porter and peas. A pub meal. But the absurdity hides the real challenge. She's asking about duality, about being a look-alike too.
And Hooter can't handle that. Why does he fail the riddle if it's so silly?
Because he's trapped in the singular I. He can't grasp multiplicity, ambiguity, the feminine principle she represents. Her challenge disrupts his neat, self-contained world. And the 3 visits show his gradual corruption or transformation by her.
Walk us through that. How does she corrupt him?
Well, the first visit, she seems to perform a kind of anti-baptism, washing the blessings of the love spots off the Jiminy, his sons, or maybe his genitals, and makes him a looter man, maybe a reversal of Tristan Christian ideals like Luther. And then she teaches him things.
4 hours, masters, for to touch him his tickles. Pretty explicit sexual education, it sounds like.
Very. And this encounter leads to her starting to reign and to reign. Water, ALP's element, flows in, bringing baby sorrow, tears, consequences, but also her power.
And given Hooter's initial state, maybe this whole encounter is just in his head, or it fundamentally changes his inner life.
It's ambiguous, but by the third visit, the change is complete, and it's turned kind of masochistic. She punctured the curses, touched him with his tears, and she perverted him. She's forced him to confront ambiguity, pain, sexuality, shattering his isolation. #VB, the eruption and authority.
So how does Jarl von Hooter handle this transformation, this challenge to his authority?
Badly. With anger, confusion, and a total breakdown of communication. He tries to yell shit at her, but it comes out as shut. He tries to physically silence her, hand-word at her grace, suppress the female disorder she brings.
And then he makes his big entrance.
Yes, he emerges dressed as an orange man, a symbol of rigid Protestant authority in Ireland, clapping his rude hand to his easy hitch, maybe adjusting himself and yells, "Shut up, shop dappy." He's called Bonorge's Son of Thunder.
Another Thunder reference.
Exactly. This male outburst, this attempt to impose order through bluster and dominance, is immediately followed by the second 100-letter Thunderword exploding.
So the first Thunder marked Finnegans' primal fall. This one marks the failure of the next generation of male authority, Hooter, to handle the feminine, the sexual mystery. The cycle repeats.
Perfectly put. And the conclusion just drips with irony, dismisses Hooter's supposed victory. And they all drank free. For one man in his armor was a fat match always for any girl's undershirts. And that was the first piece of alliterative porthery in all the flum and floody flatuous world.
Wow. So the armored man wins, but it's a cheap victory leading to drunken, illiterate poetry. Masculine triumph is just bad art and noise.
Pretty much. A complete mockery of his authority.
Okay, we've journeyed through myth, geography, war, sex, language, culminating in the Praying Queen's disruption. Now, the chapter seems to try and pull it all together, getting quite philosophical about what it means to be in this kind of world.
It really does. It shifts into this mode that feels very much like phenomenology, maybe seen through a Heideggerian lens. It talks about existentiality, this unique horizon for being that Dasein has told, precisely because it is oriented towards being toward the Z in the mode of questioning.
Okay, that's dense. Let's unpack Dasein and horizon. If HCE is Dessen Heidegger's term for our way of being there in the world, how does Dublin, the cycle, the river, function as his unique horizon?
Well, HCE is his circumstances, right? He's literally buried in the Dublin landscape. He's defined by the gossip and history swirling around him, judged by stories he didn't write. His horizon is the Dublin hills, the river Liffey, the night itself. His existence isn't about having answers. It's defined by the constant state of questioning, of being subjected to this cycle.
And this philosophical journey mirrors how we gain knowledge, starting from ignorance.
Exactly. We start off not knowing, with no fixed account of things. That ignorance opens us up to impressions, basic sensory experience, empiricism. These impressions then knit together into knowledge, and we find a name form. We impose structure, like giving the fallen man the name HCE or earwicker.
And that naming, that knowing, is what drives human life.
That structure, that knowledge, it whets the wit, it allows contact, sweetens sensation, drives desire, leads to attachment. But, and this is crucial, this whole process of desire and connection is always shattered by the big cycle. Life and death, captured in that stark phrase. That dog's death, that bitch's birth.
Death is always chasing us, birth is always messy.
Yeah. The world, as the text says, remains queer and it continues to be quaky, fundamentally unstable.
And that instability makes us question everything, even God.
It seems so. The text hints, maybe echoing Nietzsche or Voltaire, that God is just a name, a mark of our monument to our own failures and fears, a structure we build to cope with the uncertainty, the quakiness.
So if the world is quaky and God is just a name, what's the point of Finnegans Wake itself? The text says its aim is to make sure the reader is undone in every point.
He wants to dismantle certainty, to resist easy answers and keep you in that state of questioning, just like HCE, #VB conclusion on the narrative's totalizing force.
So as this first chapter, this overture, closes, we come back to Tim Finnegan, the fallen builder, and the text declares, Finn no more.
He's gone, totalized, fixed.
What totalizes him? What fixes him?
Language. Specifically the act of naming. The text talks about gauging him, putting by names under him, giving him lashes of language. That violence of definition results in his official name, Humphrey Chimpan Earwicker. And significantly, it's the king who gives him the name. External arbitrary authority imposes the label.
So language, the very thing the book celebrates for having 70 meanings, is also the tool used to pin HCE down, to end his ambiguity.
It's a paradox. And the chapter ends right in that paradoxical space, that liminal zone of night, where misties swaddle them,
where mysteries pour kind on "Oh sleepy, so be it."
That twilight state, between the end and the beginning. So be it. Acceptance, finality. But so be yet, it's not over. The next turn of the Viconian wheel is coming.
It's the perfect place to leave us. Language tries to lash HCE down, give him a name, totalize him. But the Wake Zone language, the world mind, writing its own runes, the 70 meanings, that's also our way out of that trap.
So the final thought for you, listening, is maybe that the way to actually enjoy this book, this incredibly dense text, is to stop fighting it.
Exactly. Embrace the unknowing. Let go of the need to find the single correct meaning, those classical fetters of language. Listen to the sound, the rhythm, the echoes, the contradictions. Accept the 70 meanings swirling around. The world is quaky. Let your reading be quaky too.
Just dive into the Riverrun and see where it takes you. That was a truly deep dive into Chapter 1.1 of Finnegans Wake.
An amazing start to the journey. Until the Riverrun brings us back again.